could you give a short introduction in what Vedanta is? When was it written down? Please, a short introduction for those people who have got no clue.
Vedanta is the root philosophy from where all yoga comes. The yoga philosophy also, and yoga is a generic word. And Vedanta is a universal philosophy. It is not a religion. There are no dogmas. Basically, it leads a person to his or her own true nature. It says you are actually free. And because you don't know who you are identifying with something limited, limited mind, limited feelings, limited body, and you think you are just this ego. You're not that. You are something more, you are divine. And it brings us back to the essence of who we are and gives us that happiness that we are seeking.
This sounds to me like it's actually the philosophy of yoga. Is there a difference between yoga and Vedanta?
Good question. Technically, Vedanta is one of the 6 schools of philosophy and yoga is another school, technically speaking. So Vedanta philosophy differs from yoga philosophy. For example, in yoga there are Yoga Sutras, which is the textbook compiled by Patanjali. Vedanta, as you asked, is a very wide range of different scriptures, primarily the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and there is something else called Brahma Sutra. These 3 comprise the main books of Vedanta. But the root of all this, yoga and Vedanta and the other 4 philosophies, is the Vedas, the scriptural books of knowledge, and there are 4 Vedas. And at the end of each book of knowledge, there is this mystical teaching. And that teaching answers the question, who am I? And that philosophy is now called Vedanta. Anta means end. Veda means the books of knowledge, vid, to know oneself. So Vedanta, the end of all knowledge. And yoga philosophy has a lot of similarities. But basically Vedanta talks and says there is one self, one energy, one source. And in your true nature, you are identical with that. In yoga philosophy, it is slightly different. The language is different. But basically, it's about freeing yourself and uniting. Yoga means to unite with that supreme being within you. But technically, there are many differences. We don't need to go into them now.
And how can I practically actually do this, unite with this divine? Because honestly, for me, myself, I very often feel like, oh my God, there's so many voices inside of me. Who am I? So what should I do first to get a bit more of clarity?
In the process of Vedanta, we don't have to negate life. We don't have to resist anything. We simply find out that everything that we believe to be true is a covering on our true self. The mind is not always the same. Thoughts are coming. But I am the consciousness, I am the awareness, because of whom I can see these thoughts coming and going. So who am I? I am something separate from the thought. If I don't hold on and get attached to this thought and become obsessive about it, I can healthily detach, yet function in the world, do what I have to, and understand one very important thing, that my happiness does not depend on that thought or what's happening outside. I'm involved in the world, I participate in the world, and yet I'm not run by the world. So Vedanta brings you to that, and in yoga philosophy also, and in Vedanta, we show you methods of how to give up all that is not serving you.
Could you give a short example just to have an idea? What method could I use to become less attached to my thoughts and to my needs?
Very simple. Every action that I do, I'm doing in this present moment. Supposing I have a desire, and we all have desires, there's nothing wrong. Whether I'm a yogi or I'm a real life, everybody has a desire. So we all have this desire, and it's all right to plan. It's all right to want something. But when in the present moment, I start thinking about the future, the outcome, the result, I lose all the energy of the present moment. So in Vedanta, we teach you, be here right now. Be present. Don't have anxiety for the end result and the outcome because it's not in your hands. Do your best now. So plan your work, put your full attention here in this moment, and the future will take care of itself.
What if I'm lacking this faith? How can I build up faith?
If my motive is clear, if my motive is not totally selfish, if it's selfless, if my motive is clear, my intent is clear, there are two things which we need in an action. One is we need the skill. In Bhagavad Gita, which is the book for Vedanta and yogis, in Bhagavad Gita there is a word, a part of a verse which says, Yoga Karma Sukhaushalam. Skill while doing an action is yoga. When I do any action and I do it with skill, minimum dissipation of energy. My mind and heart is centered. So one thing is I need skill. I need to have the knowledge of what I'm doing. The second thing is I need love. If I bring love into what I'm doing, if these two things are there, chances are, no one can predict, chances are that your action and the motive of the action is very important. In the long run, may not be immediate, maybe it takes time for it, but in the long run, such an action will be excellent and the result will bring you and others happiness.
What or who inspires you?
My guru, my teacher, Swami Chinmayanandaji, inspires me every moment. Right from an early age. In the beginning, I didn't understand so much of the philosophy of Vedanta, its philosophy of life, how we can live. And later on, the way he worked, the love, the compassion, and also the skill and the clarity to be doing something with complete focus.
What is the core teaching of Vedanta?
The core teaching of Vedanta is you are divine. Your true nature, the essence, is free, changeless, immutable. It is eternal. And it is the source of happiness. Turn within and find that. You can be in the world.
Many, many thanks for this interview today. Thank you, very quick.
Thank you.